Yo, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video. This is sort of a different styled video than what we're normally used to on this channel. But whenever I'm talking about sneaker investing or like Pokemon card investing, I always talk about having a ton of capital to invest, because obviously that's the main thing that everybody looks at before they're making an investment. How much money do I have that's able to be liquidated and put into other assets that can then generate more income? So as teenagers or some people that might not have any sources of income, I wanted to share with you guys a new series on this channel called How to Make Money, or like tips on how to make money, because like starting these side hustles, starting multiple streams of income is something that I have been learning and I have been executing myself in order to be able to do all of these things that you see on my channels or you see on my other social media platforms. So I decided to share with you guys some pretty easy side hustles that you can start with very little to no initial starting capital. And yeah, that's basically what this new series is going to be about, and I'm pretty excited to share with you guys some tips, some methods, and some easy ways to make legitimate money as a teenager, or maybe some if you guys don't have a jobs. I'm going to be featuring one avenue of income source that I personally believe in. So without further ado, let's get straight in with the video. So for episode 1 of this new series, I'm going to be talking about Pokemon card grading. So grading raw Pokemon cards for a profit, sending them off to PSA or other grading companies, and get them returned back to make a profit. Because if you guys don't really know, I will give you guys some context behind all this. PSA is one of the most reputable grading services out there, on top of like Beckett, CGC or whatnot. But obviously with Pokemon cards, people most likely go to PSA rather than Beckett, because I don't know, the case just looks nicer than PSA. So for example, I have some PSA cards right here. PSA cards are really important for establishing and determining the constant condition of the card. Obviously this one's a PSA 6, so it was graded a 6 out of 10 by the specialists out there. This one's graded a 7, and the card value is determined and is in direct proportion to what grade a card receives out of the scale of 10. 10 is virtually flawless and basically perfect, and 1 is very beat condition. So yeah, depending on what grade of the card that you receive, it determines on what value your card has. Now, I won't lie to you, there's such a vast amount of cards that that can be gradable. Obviously it's extensive. There's like tens of thousands of cards that were released through the generations, and it's going to be pretty hard to determine which cards are gradable or not, or like worth grading, because that's one thing that you have to distinguish. Is your card worth grading? Is your card worth paying the grading service and sending them off to America, getting them back within a couple months, and selling them at a higher price based on what you're willing to let it go for? Now obviously in this video I'm going to have some examples on screen or whatnot, and I will give you some examples, because learning about this new side hustle and all that, it can be pretty daunting. So I will give you guys some modern cards or whatever to buy for a pretty low cost at like a raw card. Raw card is like something like these, where they're just freshly pulled out of a booster pack or whatnot, and sleeved or whatever you need, and then sent over to PSA to then be put in this nice slab that we like to call it, where there's a value there, it's authentic, what you're getting, and that the condition won't change, at least we hope. So I'm going to be giving you guys 2 cards that I personally own that I do think is super gradable and has a crazy return on investment, if I must say. They're going to be 2 Charizard cards that you can find in the Hidden Fates expansion, which is regarded as one of the greatest modern day sets that we've seen so far. Hidden Fates was a crazy set. I myself bought a master set of the base set, whatever. So this one is the promo card that you can only find in the Hidden Fates tins or at other boxes or whatever, and this one is the regular Hidden Fates Charizard that you can find in booster packs or whatnot. Both of these cards alone cost about $30 each, the promo being around like 30 to 40, and then this Hidden Fates the normal card goes for around like 50 or something. That's what I've been seeing. But if we go and look at the PSA graded prices, PSA 10s go for around 350 Australian dollars. That is absolutely insane for a card that only costs $20 to $50. The fact that it goes for 6 times the amount that you pay for the card is absolutely crazy. So yeah, this is something that it seems so cheap on paper. It seems like such a great side hustle on paper. You buy a card for $30, get it graded, and then gets back as a $300 to $400 card while it's away. And you don't really have to do that much in the time frame that you're waiting for it to go and get graded. All you have to do is set it up for grading submissions, send it to either by yourself to PSA or through a middleman service. I really recommend a middleman service. And if you guys are wondering what the prices of how much grading your cards cost, I have middleman services. I really highly suggest you join PSA Submissions Australia. Lane Pierce is a really trusted guy in the whole hobby. He's a authorized dealer and authorized middleman service guy for PSA, so he's really partnered with PSA over there. So there's going to be really direct contact between PSA and Lane, so you have no problems with submitting your cards over there. And the economy routes for sending your cards, so under 200 USD value, so obviously these cards fall under the 200 USD value, they cost around $25 to get graded. That includes return postage back to you, $25, but the grading time is pretty lengthy, around 6 months. But you do have to understand that they grade like hundreds of thousand cards every single year. Around 6 months just to send these cards over to go and get graded, and then for them to only be returned as a $400 card, or even increased by that time frame, since Pokemon cards are increasing daily. That's absolutely crazy. So that's something that I really do think is going to be a great and valuable side hustle in the future. And for cards that only cost around $30 each, I don't think that your pockets will be hurting after these purchases, just because they are super cheap. And these investments, obviously, it's going to be something that you can just set and forget, and 6 months later, by the time they come, you're going to be like, oh damn, I did send these cards and I will sell them for $350, $400 each. And then your $80 or your $100 investment with all the shipping costs, the grading cost back, you'll be making like $600 out of like 2 cards or something like that. So this process is actually super simple, and for cards that only cost around $30, I do think that that's super worthwhile. Now these are just 2 examples. I just chose Hidden Fates for example because they're sort of getting out of print, but they're sort of getting a small reprint, so there's that. But it's one of the most highly regarded sets out there, and of course they're Charizards, that you can't go wrong with grading a Charizard. But you do have to keep in mind about what cards that are worth grading or not. You don't want to be grading something that's no one cares about. You might be thinking, hey Josh, vintage cards are where it's at. Should I be grading vintage cards? Well, I got a couple over here from base set. We got a Alakazam Holo from base set. We got a ton of other stuff like this Mewtwo over here. Why don't you grade vintage cards? They're pretty cheap. They're like $50 or whatever. You know what? I pre-recorded this, so go and check it out. Okay, look, the reason why I mentioned to never go for like, vintage Wizards of the Coast era Pokemon cards if you want to have a quick flip. I know that they're rising in value and they're the main investment pieces, but the thing is, for example, if I go for a Charizard base at PSA, and I get a range of PSA grades, as you can see, they're well over in the thousands of dollars. Even PSA 1's one of the worst conditions go for about $1,000, or at least like, listed for that price. They go for like 3,200, 2,000s and whatnot. So if you're like, oh, let me go get a raw version and then grade that, and then I can have like a $2,000 card, like a $3,000 card. Okay, you know what, let's try that. For the benefit of the doubt, let's go and try that. Charizard base set, let's go for here. And then we have all of these cards over here. Let's go and check out this one, the $699 one, because like, these are pretty cheap. As you can see, $300. And then you can grade them and like, sell them, depending on what grade they are, and then go for like $2,000. All right, let's go and try this. I got some listings up. All right, so this one's a $699 one. I think this is like a stock photo. As you can see, it doesn't look that bad, from the initial first look. And then you see at the back, look at all that edge wear, all that corner wear as well. These are big nicks with whitening, you guys. They're not just small nicks. These are big nicks that take them down so many steps. As you can see, there's a bit of a holofoil separation in the edge wear as well. Yeah, this is definitely in pretty rough shape, and I would not get this. Look at this. This is probably like a PSA 4 or something. This would not get, this would not be as good of an investment and a flip, especially with the high capital cost. Look at that. Look at that edge wear, and that there's a big ding on the corner. And yeah, this is definitely not something that you would want to flip. You'd probably just break even with a expensive fee. And since this is at a higher value raw, PSA will charge you more to have it insured between transit, so you actually be paying more for the grading fee, probably like a couple hundred just for it to have it insured. This one's $700. Look at that front wear. Can you see over there on the front edges, there's some perforations on the card, you guys, and as you can see on the bottom right corner, Like the edgeware is like everything. Oh my days, bro, it's the whole borders are white, fam. So this is something that I always talk about, like, you know, the quality of the cards is super important. This is probably gonna get a PSA 1 for $700. You probably break even. I know that there's a ton of that's like listed. This one's PSA 2 listed for $750. It ain't selling at that. A PSA 5 is $1,000, you know, and it's barely selling at that even. So this is super important. PSA 1, I know it's listed for $999, but it doesn't necessarily sell for that price. So I urge you guys to look at the quality of your cards, look at the condition. Just because it's a Charizard doesn't mean it's gonna, you know, yield that price. The Logan Paul hype has died down a little bit. You're not gonna have those stupid people that are buying ridiculous cards for ridiculous prices. Look at that edge right at the front. This will, I don't even know. This is why I wouldn't advise you using this method to flip OG vintage Wizard of the Coast cards, just because print lines are a huge issue. Scratches on the holofoil, I can see there's some scratches on the top right wing. Yeah, it's just super hard to grade these, and like, you know, initial looks might seem a bit like, you know, it might seem decent, but yeah, it doesn't mean that it will score those grades that will bring you, like, you know, these prices that you see on screen right now. But yeah, let's go back into the video. So yeah, that's basically why I wouldn't personally grade vintage cards, just because the condition is super questionable and you really don't know what you're getting. You might have some unknown creases that automatically decrease the grading level by like 10, or like it decreases by, and then you'll get like a PSA 5 and you think you'll get like a 9 or a 10. So yeah, definitely I would personally just look for raw cards that are 10 worthy, because the difference between a PSA 10 and a PSA 9 is like a couple $100. So yeah, it's definitely, because like 10s are super hard to get, but full arts are pretty easy to grade in a 10 or a 9 at a really high grade, just because I think that, I don't know, they use better things. It's harder to scratch or whatever. Holofoil is really easy to scratch, that's why you have a lot of holofoil scratches. But yeah, you're really looking at PSA 10 worthy cards. That's what I would recommend. I don't want to see any DMs where people are like, hey, I sent this card, it came back an 8 and I basically made like 20 bucks. You have to really look for those 10 worthy cards. Go and search up on YouTubes and whatnot to see what cards could qualify for a 10 or a 9 or whatnot. Those high grades are what you're really looking for. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for a look about how PSA grading cards are actually a really worthwhile way to get easy money. Obviously, it will take some time to, you know, to get grading costs back, but you can opt for a faster service and pay like an extra 20 bucks per card. That's something I would recommend if you're pretty impatient. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. DM me any questions if you need. Please like the video, subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace out, and also stay tuned for the next episode.